Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live in my Facebook Summer Series. And I'm excited that you're here because tonight I'm going to share with you inside my reader's notebook. And I'm also going to give you a bunch of free resources for your reader's notebooks. If this is the first Facebook Live that you've watched from me, I'm excited that you're watching. My name is Jen Bengal. I've taught in the classroom. I have a graduate degree in reading education and also a postgraduate degree as a literacy coordinator. I trained with Irene Fountas and her colleagues at Lesley University for a couple of years, and that was a pretty amazing experience. But I wanted to let you know a little bit about what's been going on this summer. If you haven't watched any of the other Facebook Lives, you can do that by checking out all of my video posts throughout this summer in the videos section on my Facebook page. These are the topics that I've been covering and I will be covering for the rest of August. I'll be live every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. I see some people saying hello. Hi, Lindsay. I see you on here. Good to see you. And I see Deanna said hi from Illinois. Hi, Deanna from Illinois. It's great to see you on here. If you're just joining, and even if you're watching the replay, feel free to say hello and let me know where you're from. Or maybe if this is the first time you've watched a Facebook Live from me. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, I got to say hi to Sandra quick because I just saw yours come up. Hi, Sandra. Glad you're here. Let's get into tonight's topic, which is going to be the inside of your reader's notebook. Now, for some of you, maybe you've done a reader's notebook in the past and you're kind of looking to mix things up or find a little something new to put in your reader's notebook. I have a lot of ideas to share with you tonight. I have reader's notebook right in front of me. So I'm going to show you the inside of that live tonight, which is going to be really fun. And when I get done, I'll put a link in the comments to all of these pages. So you'll be able to download all of these pages in the comment section. Let's start by just going over what a reader's notebook is. I have a couple of points for what a reader's notebook is. It's pretty simple. I think we all know what it is. It's a notebook for keeping the learning in one spot throughout the year. And I also said that it includes mini lessons, student work, records of their writing, and so much more. So why is it important for us to have reader's notebooks? In case you've never done them before and you're like, why do you even do reader's notebooks? Some of the big reasons that I think they're important, and you can comment in the comments below why you think reader's notebooks are important too. But the ones that I think of are, number one, it cuts down on loose paper. And it's a lot harder for kids to lose a reader's notebook than it is for them to lose a piece of paper that they're working on that day. So that's a good reason right there. Also, it's perfect for conferences with parents. With parent-teacher conferences, you can bring their reader's notebook and show the parents what they've been working on throughout the year, which is a really powerful thing. I love to send them home at the end of the year with the kids because they just really feel like their notebooks are a special place, and all of their learning they can look back on throughout their lifetime then too. I like to keep a record of the students' reading. I can do that in a notebook, and really it keeps everything in one spot. That's one of the biggest reasons why I love the notebooks. Oh, let me go back one time. So what you need to make a reader's notebook is three things. You need a notebook. I use a 3-subject notebook because that lasts all year. But if you don't have a 3-subject notebook, you can certainly use a 1-subject notebook, but just know that you're probably going to have to get another one for the kids around Christmas or holiday time. And then you need durable Post-it tabs. Get the durable Post-it tabs, not the flimsy ones, because they'll fall off. So you need 3 per student, and then you need something to write with. That's pretty much it. That's all you need for your notebooks. Oh, I like that one, Lorraine. She added that readers' notebooks often show growth or not so much growth, which is a really good thing to look at. Like if you're going to bring the notebooks to an IEP or a data meeting or anything, that would be really helpful to be able to have the notebook to show their growth as writers and readers and thinkers. So that's a good one, Lauren. I like that one. Hi, Natasha. Welcome. I'm glad that you're finally catching me live. I'm glad you're watching live. Yay. Okay, Lindsay said, now this is not the same as the writing notebook, correct? Or are they one and the same? No, this is different. So I have a reader's notebook and a writer's notebook. And I'm actually going to go over the writer's notebook in the webinar I'm doing tonight, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I have a reader's and a writer's notebook. Aw, look at Tracy. She said, I still have all of my daughter's notebooks. I love seeing her growth. That's so sweet. That's a really cool thing to remember too. It's like a memory you can send home at the end of the year too. So this is a couple things that I have to do and not do with a notebook. Do not use them for homework, because if you send a notebook home and it gets lost at home, that's going to be really sad. You don't want to lose the notebooks. So don't send them home for homework. Instead, they can write in them during independent reading time, and that way then they'll keep everything at school and they won't lose their notebooks throughout the year. I don't grade them every day. I can grade notebooks maybe once a week or every other week, but I don't grade them every day. They bring their notebooks to the mini lesson and they bring their notebooks to the share at the end of the webinar. So make sure, or at the end of the workshop, I said webinar because I have webinar in my brain. So make sure that they have them with them. Now, storage, what I've done in the past is I've gotten those magazine files. I don't have any around me right now, but those magazine files, and I'll put the notebooks, their reader's notebook, their writer's notebook, their spelling and vocabulary notebooks. I'll put them all in these boxes, and the kids will have a number for the box. That way I can keep using them year after year. And when we start the workshop, they go get their notebook and whatever they're reading, and they come to the carpet. And then when we end our workshop, they take their notebooks back to their bin. I usually just line them up along a back wall of the room. And then that way their notebooks don't get lost in their desk. They don't get lost in their locker. They don't get lost at home in their backpack. They're always just with them during the workshop time, and I can keep up with them. So that's a really good idea for you to try if you haven't done that. Okay, so here's the sections of the notebooks. Hello, Laura. I'm glad that you're here. Looking forward to getting ideas to share with others. Yay! You can download these pages too, Laura, and share them with others too. This is the first section of the notebook, and I actually have a notebook with me right in front of me. So you can see, there it is. This is the first section that I put in the notebook. This is the section that I call Books I've Read. And in this section, I actually just keep a record of their reading. I have the kids, whatever they're reading independently, I have them put that in here. And I'm going to give you a copy of this page too. So you can glue this in your notebooks if you want to use it. But I just have them put the title, the author, what the genre is, and what date they complete it. So when they finish a book, they put this in here. Now, this doesn't include books that we're reading together as a class, or I usually don't include guided reading books either. These are just books that they're reading independently. So I keep a record of their reading in the front of their notebook, and I usually reserve about 5 pages for this because I'll put this on the front and the back of a page, so I don't have to have that many pages. You might want a couple extra if you want, but usually about 5 works for me. And then the second section of the notebook, you can see my tabs. No, you can't. No, you can. Is the mini lesson section. And in that section is where I have the kids actually write in our mini lessons. You can do this a couple ways. Here's one example where they actually wrote in the mini lesson statement, and they did one example from our class chart. They put in their notebook one example. I wouldn't have them put all 3 because that's just a lot of writing, and I feel like that's not a very good use of their time. So maybe just getting one sample in, you can do. Another thing you can do if they're slow writers and you want them just to have the mini lessons in, is you can just glue in the mini lesson statement like that and just keep them going down the page like that. But basically this section is just getting all of their mini lessons into their notebook and examples if you can. Reason for doing this is because you want that learning to last all year. So by doing this with a mini lesson, it doesn't just be that 10 minutes for the year and they're not going to hear that idea again as a reader or anything. It's recirculating. So they can actually have a spot with all of their learning that they went through throughout the year in their notebook, which is really cool. And then the next section is reading responses. So this is my biggest section. I have a lot of space for this section because the kids are going to be using this space during their independent reading time, and they're going to be doing all kinds of things in this section. Basically, this is where they're going to be responding to their reading in a written form, which is a skill I want them to be able to master throughout the year. So they can be doing things like these bookmarks, which they can use with any text, and all kinds of other ideas. They can do here's one that's got a little task card where they have to answer this question and put it in their notebook based on whatever they're reading. So that might be a skill we did in our mini lesson. Or they might glue something like this in, or they can do something written on their own. So for example, Let me get to my little cheat sheet that I have in front of me. This mini lesson I'm giving to you, okay? So you can use this mini lesson with your class. And it's just a way to make a list of things that they might want to put in their notebooks in this section. And I do a mini lesson at the beginning of the year. It just says readers write what they're thinking about a text in their reader's notebook so that they can form opinions and talk about what they're reading with others. And as a class, we come up with all kinds of things that we could put in this section of our notebook. We could compare the characters that we're reading to ourselves. We might write about an interesting part, predict what's going to happen next. So I can have the class help me come up with a whole bunch of ideas. And I didn't do it in this notebook, but what you can do once you do this lesson and you have the kids help you for a few days, I would keep coming back to this, kind of use it as an anchor chart. And then at the beginning of this section of your notebook, you can glue this whole list in to your notebook. So the kids at any point throughout the year can have this list in their notebook. So if you ask them to respond to their reading today, tell them today you get to pick one of the things from our anchor chart and respond that way. So maybe you're going to write a few questions and try and answer them today. So they have a whole list of ideas that they can do for this section in their notebook. Brittany said, will you post these notes somewhere? Yeah, I'm going to put them in the comments in just a second. I have one more section of the notebook I want to show you too, and then I'll put them in there, Brittany. And then, I have this lesson too that I'm giving you for at the beginning of the year. And this is where they can share questions about reading by writing them in their reader's notebook so that they can show evidence of their thinking before, during, and after reading. So again, we can talk about the different ways that we might respond. So the first one is what we would say, but how? Are we going to do a Venn diagram? Are we going to take notes? We can draw sketches. We can do thought bubbles. We can just write in paragraphs. So you can have a class list running here about all the different ways that they can respond to. And then the last section of my notebook is the reading letters. I don't know if anyone does reading letters with their kids or has in the past, but it's really awesome. And you want to talk about sharing some cool memories with your kids. Doing reading letters is so cool. So this is kind of what it looks like. You can see it's the picture there, but this is the real notebook here I have. And what the kids do here actually is they write a letter to me in their notebook. So every day I collect about 3 notebooks and I make a rotation so that usually I get the students' notebooks. They write a letter to me about every other week it comes out to, but I only take 3 notebooks a day. And that's when I can do a little grading with a notebook if I want, but I write them a letter back. So I'm writing about 3 letters a day, which doesn't take too much of my time. I love Jennifer's comment. I love the reading letters. I do too, because at the end of the year, you have this whole correspondence with each student about what they were thinking as they were reading independently. And it's a great way to get to know your kids, to have a really personal conversation with them, to teach them letter writing, and to leave a lasting impression on them that they can take home at the end of the year and look back forever and ever. So they are super effective. Yes, Natasha, they're so effective, the reader's notebooks or the reading letters. Now, if you have kids who struggle with writing letters to you, they don't even know where to start. What I've done in the past that's been really helpful for me and my students is I've actually taken the lead. So instead of having them write to me first, I will write to them first and I'll kind of prompt them. I'll give them questions like, tell me what you're reading. What's your favorite part? Tell me what you're thinking. Do you have a question that you're wondering about? I'm reading the book, whatever. This is what I love about it. It's so interesting, da, 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 da. So you have a kind of little conversation and you treat it like your pen pals almost, and they love it. They can't wait to get their letter back from you every time. But if you take the lead for those kids who are struggling, then that way it's not so hard for them to just come up with a letter out of the blue, and they can have responses for you a little bit easier than coming up with their own letter. So again, I do about 3 a day, and I'll write them while I'm eating my lunch or after school for a few minutes. And it's just a really fun thing to do with the kids. And like I said, they absolutely love getting letters back from you. It's also a really great way to challenge their thinking a little bit and push them a little bit farther in what they're thinking about the text that they're reading. And you can really get a good snapshot into what they're thinking and what they're understanding and comprehending with the books that they're reading too. So that's what I really love. Oh, this is great. Molly said the reading response section is a great help to the kids when composing their letters. They are able to look back in their own previous reflections to help with the letter composition. I'm so glad you brought up that point because it's absolutely true. And you can tell your kids when you're setting up the notebooks and you're teaching them how to write letters to you, you can tell them that they can absolutely do that. And by putting these little cheat sheets in the section, that third section of their notebook, that way they can actually have a nice list of things that they can do too in that third section. So it all kind of ties so nicely together. So those are the things that I do with my notebook. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the free download right now. So that's going to come up in just a second in the comment section. There is a weird little delay, so just bear with the comments here, but this will pop up. And then you can download that. It takes you to a Google Drive. Now there are these anchor charts on here, so it might be a little slow when you open it, but it works. I promise. I just tried it. So that works. Just might have to give it a second. And I wanted to tell you too, if you have not been in my reading and writing workshop webinar, I am doing that actually in just a few minutes. It's a free webinar, and I'm going over not only the reader's notebook, I'm going to give you more lessons, more charts like I just did now in the webinar, but I'm also going to go over the writer's notebook. I'm going to show you how I set up my classroom library, and I'm also going to walk you through a day in the life of a reading and writing workshop. So if you wanted to see how I do my reading and writing workshops and how I start out my year, that webinar is happening in just a few minutes. So this webinar right here, I commented on, you can register for that for free. You just have to click that link and it will take you to a page that asks for your email and your first name. And then it'll send you a registration link and you can click on that and join it. It's starting at 7:30 p.m. Central, which is in about 45 minutes or so. And again, it's a free webinar, but you do have to register. It's not like live where you can just show up. You have to register for it. So that's why I put the link in there. And actually, I have a workbook for it too. So if you want to download the free workbook, let me put that link in. That's the last link I'm giving you tonight, I promise. So this link will take you to a free workbook for the webinar. If you wanted to follow along that workbook or see a little bit more, you can click that. And you don't have to download it and print it, but it's just an outline of what I'm going to go over in tonight's webinar if you wanted to, if you plan on coming. So that's all I have for you tonight. I am just quickly looking through the comments. Yes, not the same. Good. Tracy said, great for small group reading to reinforce or practice a certain skill. Yes. So Kathy just asked, where will the links be? I think she asked that a little bit ago, but they're in the comments now, so you should be able to get that. Good question, Diane. She said, would you have them write you a letter after they finish a book rather than or in addition to writing more often? So they don't have to actually finish a book to write me a letter. They can write the letter wherever they're at in their reading. So if they're reading a chapter book and they just started the first 2 chapters, they can write about that. Or they could write about what they just finished, whatever book that they just finished. So it doesn't have to be when they get finished with a book, they have to wait to write me a letter until they're finished. It can be while they're in the process, which is sometimes even more interesting to find what they're thinking, because you'll get a letter from them when they are maybe just a couple chapters in, and then the next letter comes when they're finished with that book. And it's really fun for them to look back at what they wrote. Maybe they made a prediction and it was totally wrong or something, and you can talk about that and they can read about what their letters said. It's also really cool to compare their letters from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. That's really fun for them to take a look back at the letters they were writing me at the beginning of the year when it's like April, and they can kind of get a chuckle out of how much they've grown as readers and thinkers too. That's really fun to do. Let's see. You're welcome, Jennifer. And I think I've got everything. Yes, Leanne, these will definitely keep you all organized. You're going to have so much fun by teaching reading 3 times. That's going to be awesome. Can you access the next webinar through Facebook? You cannot, Donna. So the webinars that I do are all through a platform called GoToWebinar, and I like it because it's a little bit more formal, and I tried to do a webinar live on Facebook and it did not work out so well for me. Technology-wise, it's pretty complicated. So that's why the webinars are hosted on a special site, but they're always free when you show up for the live webinars. And the site is very reliable. I've been using it since March of 2016. I've never had one person have a problem with any type of virus or anything like that. If you're worried about something like that, never. And there's been over 10,000 people, well over 10,000 have watched webinars since then. And there's never been a problem. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit more confident in using that platform, but it's definitely a safe place to be. Thank you, Brittany. She said, we appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Brittany. You're awesome. Thank you. And you're welcome, Sandra. Okay, I have to get off this call because I have to go get ready for the webinar, but it's not too late to register. If you want to do that, you can. If you're watching this live, here's the link right here to register. And if you wanted to just grab the freebies from tonight too, you can do that with this link. All right, have fun tonight. Enjoy whatever it is that you're about to do. I forgot to pull up this last slide. On Thursday, I can't even read what I'm doing. It's too small, but you can read it. On Thursday, I'll be back live at 6:30 p.m. here on my Facebook page, chatting and giving you away some more free support for you. I hope you have a great couple days and take care. And maybe I'll see you in the webinar tonight. Good night, everybody. Bye.